What is up, guys? My name is MipZ and welcome back for yet another League of Legends video. So today we are playing a champion that I'm pretty excited for. It is, in my opinion, one of the hardest ADCs to learn, mostly because he is heavily skill shot based, meaning that you gotta kind of aim your spells, and he's one of the champs that you can actually, there's a huge learning curve on him, but the skill potential on him is amazing. Like, you will be able to really mechanically outplay your opponent so freaking much on this champion, and he's a tremendous fun to play. This guide was actually requested by one of our subscribers, so thank you very much to Mortar with X. I really do appreciate it. If any of you guys are sitting out there with a champion that you would like me to make a guide on, just make sure to post in the comment section below. Upvote the ones you want to see the most, and yeah, I will definitely prioritize based on that. But yeah, today we are of course playing Ezreal. First of all, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go to the river up here, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the abilities and how they work. Then we'll talk about the combos, the advanced combos, and then we'll go into a real game and I'll explain basically how to play the champion in the early, mid, and late game, and also kind of applying the practical knowledge that we've gathered throughout the training tool. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one. If you do, then make sure to smash that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, then dude, what the hell are you doing? Go ahead, click that button, join our family. It's been amazing to see the growth we've had this year. Thank you guys so much for that. If you want to see me live, by the way, then make sure to go to twitch.tv/MipZ_live. I stream every single Friday. It's amazing. And yeah, people are just like, we're having so much fun in there. You should join in. Anyway, let's get this guide started. So let's start with the very first ability. This is the one that I personally think, with all champions, is the most important one. And I know you guys always kind of give me the look when I say it. Today, or what we're talking about here, is of course the passive spell. The passive spells are what most people don't read. It's what most people find really boring, but it is actually the spells that tells you the most about how a champion likes to be played, which is weird why people don't know them, but it's because you don't click them. But let's talk about Ezreal's passive ability called a rising spell. God damn it, we're not AFK. Rising spell. What this thing basically does is that every time that Ezreal hits one of his hits a target with any of his abilities, any of them, then he gets a 10% attack speed boost for the next 6 seconds, which is really cool. This then stacks up to 5 times, meaning that if Ezreal, let's just do this real quick, if he hits his Q, you can see he gets a stack of rising spell force. If he hits it again, he gets another one, and now we have 20%, and this goes all the way up to 50%, meaning that this is a way of letting Ezreal attack even faster with his auto attacks. One of the cool things with this one is of course that it stacks with things that hit more than one target. This is specifically with his ult. So if we put another one down here and we use our ult, you'll see that we get 2 stacks right off the bat, which is really, really cool. So ideally, if you hit 5 targets with your ult, you get all 5 stacks of your passive, allowing you to deal a ton more damage. So what this tells us is that Ezreal really likes to use his ult in team fights pretty early, because if he can use it before the fight really starts, then it's gonna boost his attack speed from the very get-go, allowing him to deal more damage. We'll talk about more of this stuff in the combos and in the actual practical game of how to play him, but just know this for now. I know some of you might not even know what the ult does yet. Wow, I just had something in my throat. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's move on to the next spell. So we know the passive now is super simple. Our next spell is our Q, and this is Mystic Shot. This is the most used ability on Ezreal, I would say, mostly because it's yeah, it's what people use in laning phase most of the time, and it is the lowest cooldown spell for him. What this thing basically just does is that whenever he uses his Q, he fires off a Mystic Shot, which is basically this ball of energy that deals a chunk of damage, which is really good. Also, it applies on-hit effects, so if you do have items that have an on-hit effect, then that is applied by it. But here is kind of the what do you say, the twist, the spice on top of Mystic Shot, and that is basically that whenever you hit a Mystic Shot, then it reduces the cooldown by all of your other spells by 1.5 seconds. So this is a way for you to reset your cooldowns faster and faster. Like it resets 1.5 seconds. So you want to make sure that you do hit your Qs, because it's going to allow you to increase your overall DPS, because you're going to have your other spells back faster as well. So ideally, you kind of also want to have your cooldown or have the other spells on cooldown when using Q, but not in all scenarios and laning phase. We'll talk more about that stuff later, but just for now, no, it resets 1.5 seconds of your cooldowns every time you hit. All right, so that is our Mystic Shot. Our next ability is called Essence Flux. This is our W. It's kind of a bit more tricky, I guess, but not really. Whenever you fire this off, it kind of sticks to the target, which is really cool, but it doesn't really do anything. It only does something whenever you have this on a target and you then auto attack or use an ability on that target. Then this thing kind of explodes, dealing a really good chunk of damage. So this is something that you want to make sure that you hit on your targets. The thing with Essence Flux is, of course, that it does not hit minions. So you can see if we try to fire it over the Scuttlecraft, like it literally does not hit it. So it doesn't hit normal units. It only hits enemy champions and actually also turrets. So it's really good to know that it can hit turrets, because this is a way for you, if we go up here, to deal extra damage to the turret. You can see it basically just explodes whenever we do this. So boom, see it deals extra damage. All right, let's go back down here. So Essence Flux also works on turrets, but it doesn't work on normal minions. So what this thing basically does, just it explodes whenever you hit with an auto attack or an ability. And you might look at me and be like, but is there a difference between using an auto attack to make it explode or an ability? And actually, yes, there is. If you use an auto attack, it just deals the damage straight up and nothing else. But if you, however, use it or hit a target that or hit the target with an ability that has this on, then what happens is actually that you refund all of the mana that the ability that your W cost, plus an additional 60 mana. So this is actually a way for you to replenish your mana throughout laning phase, and also a bit later in the game where it might not be as necessary, but in the early game this actually can mean quite a lot, that it's a way for you to get mana back. So if you hit your Essence Flux with a Q or your E or your ult or something else, you get some mana back and actually get some additional ones. All right. This kind of brings us to our E, and we'll talk a bit about this one in combination with your Essence Flux, because there's quite a neat trick that way too many people or way too few people, I guess, know about, especially at lower elos with what's it called, Ezreal's Arcane Shift, his E. So most people probably know or know about Ezreal's E. It's the thing that looks kind of like Flash. It's one of the most iconic spells for him, in my opinion at least. This basically just allows him to jump like this. It has more or less the same range as Flash. It's a little, like a tiny, like itty bitty, like very small radius longer. So he can jump a little further with this than a Flash. And whenever he does this job, then from where he lands, he deals damage to the closest target, which is kind of cool. However, it does prioritize targets that has Essence Flux on them. And this is quite significant, and a lot of people don't know this, and you really should. First of all, because as we talked about before, then you get mana back from your Essence Flux if it's triggered by an ability. Well, your E ensures that you can hit that target with an ability if you're going for an offensive play. So let's say that we put our W on this target and we jump close to this one. You can see, even though this target is the closest one to us, then it deals the damage to the other one because the other one has Essence Flux on it. So this is a way for you to ensure your burst on the right target And this is the way you mostly want to use it if you're going for an all-in play. We'll talk more about different scenarios for the different abilities, but just know that this is kind of quite essential when going for burst damage, that using your, like, it's a way of making sure that you replenish the mana if you hit it here, like boom. It's fairly simple instead of hitting it with your Q. Also because this kind of allows you to hit a W and E and then reset a portion of both abilities, which is really cool. Alright, so that is all our Arcane Shift does. It deals a good chunk of damage to anything near it, or to the targets that is the nearest to you. Unless they have Essence Flux, then you prioritize that target. And this is the way that you can ensure you're dealing damage to the right target with your E. Alright, our next ability and our final ability is our ult. It's called True Shot Barrage. True Shot Barrage is kind of cool. What this basically just allows you to do is that Ezreal basically does this channel for 1 second, and then he fires off a barrage. That's basically what it is. It looks amazing, and it deals a really heavy chunk of damage. What is really cool about this one is that it procs things like your passive, your rising spell. So this means that if 5 targets are right here in a straight line, god dang it, I suck at. Can I not have this? All right, so we're gonna have whatever targets. There's at least 4 dummies here. If we hit all 4 dummies with our ult, we get 4 stacks of rising spell. Fortunately, we hit something up here as well, so we got 5. But for every target you hit with your ult, then you deal damage to that target, and you actually proc your rising spell. If you're running with something like the Conqueror rune, then you will also proc that one, which is really, really cool because it's going to allow you to just, increase your overall burst. It's really nice because if you use this early in a fight, then you will stack up, get your stacks a lot quicker and allow yourself to do much more damage throughout the entire fight. So really think about the usage of your ult. We'll talk more about that at a later point. But for now, all you gotta know about this one is fairly simple. Your ult deals a good chunk of damage. It deals 50% less damage to minions and non-epic monsters. But again, it's not really something that you're probably gonna notice that heavily. But do know that you can stack your things on minions as well. So minions do count as targets. So imagine there you're fighting versus 2. You can see minion waves up here. Maybe you can line up a shot that hits both this and minions walking in lane, and that's going to give you extra stacks. Like, there are different ways of kind of doing 5-headed plays with this one. Or if you can hit the full enemy team with your old early fight, then it's going to give you all your stacks, give you a good chunk of your Conqueror if you're running Conqueror rune, and it's literally just going to set you up for a real good fight. All right, so that's all for that one. Let's kind of talk a little bit about the combos. So the first combo, or combo-ish, we kind of talked about this one, is your W using your E. So we won't go too much into it, but remember this one. It is so freaking important that you know how you can make sure that you trigger your W with an ability. And also it's a way of doing extra burst, just because it ensures that your E hits it, your W procs, and your Q is gonna then allow you afterwards to reset both abilities, or reset 1.5 seconds of both abilities. Instead, like if you do W to Q and then your E might not even hit the right target, then you're not gonna get the 1.5 second reset of your E, because you used your E after your Q. So make sure that you kind of think about this. Use W, E, Q if you're going for kind of this all-in play. All right, then there's another combo. This is not highly used. Just want you guys to know about it real quick. This is the Mystic Shot Flash combo. So basically this is just that you Q then flash, and this is going to increase the range. You can see from down here we wouldn't be able to hit this minion up there, but if we do Q into a flash, so we Q actually cast a Q first and then flash, you got to be pretty quick with it. then you are going to be able to hit the target up there, even though you queued right away. And this is going to make it almost impossible to dodge. But again, it is very, very unlikely that you'll get to use this combo. It's not something that I personally ever really use, but who knows? Maybe you'll find a scenario where you need it in order to finish somebody or do something. But the next combo is a lot more heavily used and really cool. This is your E flash combo. And the cool thing with your E is that if you E flash, then you can see, even though you E before you flash, then your damage from your E is actually going to hit at the end, because it has kind of a short cast time. You can see then basically you can, if you look at the flash animation, you can see this golden smoke thing. And if we do this, you can see it, the golden smoke goes from here to here, and then I flash up here. The important thing when doing this combo is that you move your cursor far enough away that you don't stop on the way, because if you do it like here, you'll see that we won't get that far. You really want to make sure that you move your cursor pretty far up in order to master this combo. And you can see the damage from our E is actually going off on this target up here, or on the scuttle if it's in the way. So basically, this is a pretty cool trick, and I use this actually, I wouldn't say every game because I probably don't, but I use it fairly often. It is a really cool trick, and it can really surprise people really heavily. So that's your E flash combo. Really practice that one because it's super good and it can be very, very helpful. Then you have your old flash. Your old flash is not that important. What you mostly will use this for is if you need to dodge something, because when you're using your ult, you can't move. But what you can do is that you can ult and then you can flash to the side, and your ult will still go off here, but this is going to allow you to dodge something that's coming your way. So imagine somebody's going in for a stun on you, then using ult and then flashing to the side, dodging a skill shot can be pretty useful. So you need to know about this one. There are certain times where you are going to find this one very useful. But it does not change the direction of your ult, even though it allows you to flash. So it's a pretty neat trick, to be honest. All right. So generally speaking, with your ult, I can strongly recommend that you use this one from the bushes. And you could probably do something like you could combo ult with the E flash combo in order to really surprise people. And the reason why you want to use your ult from bushes or hidden areas, generally speaking, if you can, is because it makes it really hard to dodge for the enemy, because they won't see it coming. So yeah, you could combine this, do that, and then into an E flash combo, and you'll be able to get up here real quick. So if, yeah, imagine the jungler and top laner right here, or whatever, somebody's here, and you want to ambush these guys, then ult first. You could do like ult flash, and then boom, you could do some pretty cool tricks. But of course, be careful with it. Just know ult, use it from bushes if you can, or at least from hidden areas. And try to hit as many targets with it as possible, because this is going to stack up your passive and your conquest if you're running conquest. Okay, so that is kind of in that one. Yeah, as we talked about earlier, your W do work on turrets. You want to use your Q to reset your other cooldowns. So always kind of try and think about, there are certain scenarios where you don't want to be sitting, or where you want to be sitting on your E. If you know somebody's going to try to dive you, then sit on your E and not using it. But otherwise, try and get your other things on cooldown so you can reset with your Q. Using QW does never really make sense. Instead, you want to make sure that you use your Q to reset the other things. I hope that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think that's kind of the overall for combos. I hope this kind of gave you an insight. But yeah, that's kind of going to be it for this one. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to go ahead, do that. Like the video if you enjoyed it or found it helpful or something. And yeah, if you want to see me live, then make sure to go to twitch.tv/MipZ_live and follow me in there. I stream every single Friday. It's super chill. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. As always, you guys, stay awesome, have fun, and take it easy.